What's up, everybody? My name is Chris Corvan, and welcome to another episode of Dripping Creativity Podcast for the Creative Coffee Cafe. It is the beginning of May. We have a whole bunch of really cool stuff happening right now that you should definitely go and check out. All the links are down below. Today, our very special guest is Alli Rense. Before we jump into the conversation with Alli, though, I wanted to let you know that one of our members, Sarah Burton's book, is now on pre-order, Cherry Trail, a story from Havenburg. It is an absolutely beautiful coming-of-age tale, and you need to go and pre-order it right now. You can find it on Amazon. The links for that will be down below. With that all said, let's jump into it. Alli, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Alli Rense. I'm a writer, artist, programmer, generally creative person. I'm a mom, I'm a startup co-founder, I'm a wife, I'm a cat person, I'm a Michigander. I'm not really sure what other words there are out there that I can use to describe myself.
Excellent. Okay, so let's dial it all back there. What was the first creative avenue you kind of explored?
You mean in my life?
Yeah, just going all the way back.
I think I would say art. I remember being a kid and I had this little table and chairs behind our couch, and I used to sit at it and make drawings all day long. And that was the first way that I did anything creative. I think I come from a long line of creative people. My mom is a ceramics artist. My grandma, her mom, was a poet and a songwriter. My dad is a musician. His dad is an artist. My mom's dad is an artist. It's there, and it was natural, and my parents definitely opened a space for me to get involved with that. And then I started writing probably soon after that, once I learned how to read. I've always been the kind of person where if I enjoy something, I want to try and make it myself. And that's how I got into programming. That's how I got into a lot of writing. And it's been an interesting experience. And it's really, really hard for me to prioritize, what thing it is that I want to work on or what creative path I want to go down.
I completely understand that. Fairly similar. I mean, for me, the most creative side was on my dad's side. That's where all the artists and filmmakers and all that were, and that's kind of where that all came from for me. But all right, so you were very much encouraged through most of your life for creative intent and very all the way through. A lot of times you don't see the parents that are extremely encouraging towards the arts when it comes to a lot of really creative people. Was it always very creative driven, or did they try to steer you towards other things, the more normal side of things, as it were?
I think in some ways they, mentioned, wanting me to be able to do something where I could make a living, but I think I gravitated more to that than they pressured me to in some extent. I don't remember them saying so much as me feeling like I needed to do something where I could make a living, and that doing art or doing writing might not necessarily get me there. So that was my own pressure on myself. Okay. So much than theirs, which I think is a different narrative than a lot of creative people have. And sometimes I wonder, if my parents were like, you must, be an accountant or a lawyer, if I would have wanted to rebel and do something more creative in that respect. That I don't know.
It's literally one of the thoughts I often have. It's like, because you have that where the child often rebels just for the sake of rebelling. And like I know with my son, I'm a metalhead. I'm a creative. I've always been very encouraging towards that type of stuff with him. And he's just so analytically brained that it's like night and day with us. Like we connect on quite a lot of things, but it's just it's like, is he doing that on purpose, or is it something in the genes that's just making him want to? I don't know. It's crazy.
It is. My 8-year-old is not a visual artist, but he is very creative. He just shows it in different ways. He comes up with stories. He doesn't physically write them down, but he comes up with the stories. He has this entire made-up world about dragons that he likes to talk about. So, he's incredibly creative. It's just not the traditional, like, sitting down and drawing types of ways, which as a parent, I was looking forward to drawing with my kids. And of course, it's not something that he super enjoys doing. My daughter is a little more into it, which is nice.
That's my daughter too. She's actually very art. She's very my creative side, which I love. But, So you have 2 kids?
2 kids. My son is 8. My daughter is almost 4.
What was the next logical step to combine both the creative aspect, but also the needing to make money out of it? Like, how did that fall into place?
So I know we're not going to talk about work, but I have to talk about work a little bit for this to make sense.
Skim through it,
What I mentioned always wanting to make it myself. I think a big way that took off was getting the internet and wanting to make my own website at the time. And my dad was working as a graphic designer type of person for a printing company, and he was totally on board and helped me get set up with the internet. He gave me a book about HTML. He gave me like some software to use, and I just went hog with it. And that was my creative outlet for a long time, was making all of these websites. And this was back in like the late 90s and early 2000s, when there weren't as many restrictive rules as to what a good website looks like. And the websites were really ugly, but it was still really creative and a lot of fun to make them. And after struggling with not really knowing what I wanted to do for a career for a long time, I have a degree in English. I went to grad school to be a speech language pathologist, which I did not end up doing. And I ended up getting into programming instead because I was good at it, and there are a lot of jobs, and it makes a decent amount of money, and so all those pieces fell together. Well, the longer I've been in it, the less I've felt creatively fulfilled by it. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing or a bad career. And I've made changes in my career to help me feel more fulfilled and have more ownership over what I'm doing. But I still felt like there's a big creative piece that's missing. And this whole time I've still been doodling, I've still been writing here and there, but I never really settled on something that I wanted to really put time and effort in. And then last year I was thinking about it. I think I was in the shower and I thought, what should I spend my creative time on? I'd been doing a lot of knitting. I tried out dyeing yarn. I really enjoyed that. But that takes a lot of equipment and muscles and space that we don't have in the house. And then I thought, what about writing? You've always written things. You've always been pretty good at it. And you have an English degree, which is completely irrelevant for your job, but it actually relates to this. Why don't you write more? And I think it took several showers for that to finally click in, that that's what I wanted to do. But then I decided, okay, I'm going to get serious about writing. What do I want to do to make that happen? And I thought, well, I want to write some short stories. I don't know why I thought I needed to write short stories, but that was a thought I had in my head. And then I had a couple of novel ideas that I was messing with and putting into virtual whiteboards and things like that. And I thought, well, maybe I should actually try writing one of those drafts. And I wanted to find other writers. I didn't know anybody else who did any writing that I knew of. I mean, other people I know are probably writing things and I don't know about it. But that was another goal I had last year. So that's what I did. I've written a couple of short stories. One of them has been to an editor. The other one I'm working on with her edits right now. The novel draft is, I guess I would say, a third done. I keep rewriting it, but it's getting somewhere. And I found some great communities, including the Creative Coffee Cafe, both online and in person. And that part's been probably the easiest. Easier than the writing part.
Yeah, no, that's generally how it goes too. Especially with, you get the idea down, it's really good, and then you're like, okay, I have to go back and tune it. And you're like, well, maybe I'll just go work on this for a bit instead. Eventually it'll get done. So you have something that's already at the publisher, you said?
Oh, it's being edited.
It's being edited.
I'm working on editing.
Yeah, sorry.
One has gone through my editor, and she's sent suggestions, and I have put those into place. The other one, she sent the suggestions, and I have not put them into place yet. So that's where I'm with that one. And the first one, I've been sending around to lit mags, so hopefully get that one published at some point.
Definitely.
Not the most fun process.
No, well, yeah. The whole other half of writing a book really sucks.
Yes.
It really does.
One thing about short stories, though, is that, they're short, so you can finish them faster.
Definitely. I much prefer the shorter stuff when it comes to the writing. Just, I don't know, it's more fun. It's faster. So we got that. Is there anything you can tell us about those stories?
Anything I can tell you about the stories? Well, most of the stories I write are, I would say, vaguely science fiction, in that there's something kind of science fiction-y about them that drives the plot, but that's not really what they're about. So this is what I'm still working on. It's not one of the ones that have been through the editor, but it's about a woman who has a big crush on her coworker, and she's really excited to tell her coworker about this blind date that she observed, because she wants to get her coworker's reaction and just talk to her and be with her. But the actual, the science fiction part of the story is that the date that she observed was between a woman and a man who was pretending to be an alien. And then the twist is that the man actually was an alien, and her coworker's an alien too. But she doesn't care that her coworker is the alien. And that's kind of the point, that she's so obsessed with this person that she finds out that she's an alien. She's like, whatever, can we date now?
Which is the proper reaction, really. It's like, that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, can we go now? All right. Well, you know what? So then that brings up the science fiction aspect of why are you drawn more to the sci-fi fantasy style things?
I think that's because that's what I like to read the most.
Chosen genre.
Yes. I've always liked reading science fiction and fantasy. My dad's a big science fiction in particular, but he likes fantasy too, reader, and he got me into a lot of it. We read the Chronicles of Narnia together when I was a kid. He read The Hobbit to me. I don't feel quite the same way about The Lord of the Rings as he does, but he got me in there. Dune, I think we read together.
That's a big one to read together.
I don't know if we finished that one together. I think maybe he started it and then I finished reading it myself. But
that's fantastic.
He got me interested in that genre, and I think that my favorite stories in science fiction and fantasy too, but I think even more in science fiction, aren't about the science fiction part. They're about the people and about humanity, and they're just told through the lens of weird science fiction stuff.
Absolutely love that. That's how I feel towards the horror genre that I tend to stick to. It's not about the actual genre, but the emotional connection made within this particular scene style. I love that. That's fantastic. So your novel, let's touch on that one.
Okay.
What is that about, like?
So the novel, that is in a rough draft stage that I keep editing. I started it last November as part of NaNoWriMo, before all the horrible stuff with NaNoWriMo went down. And the main reason why I did that was to get involved in my area's local group, because that was the first thought that came into my head when I thought I wanted to find writing friends. Oh yeah, NaNoWriMo has local events and stuff. I'll go do that. But I did write the 50,000 words that I then decided to go back and rewrite most of. But it's an urban fantasy novel. It's about a young woman who's working at a coffee shop so she can earn money to attend the most prestigious university for studying arcane sciences, is what they call magic. She wants to be a mage. And the twist is, it's not a normal coffee shop. it's actually a front for dealing with demons. And our protagonist becomes more and more involved in the secret underpinnings of her world. So it's about knowledge and power. Empathy is a big theme in it, and how people can get corrupted by getting everything they've always wanted. And of course, it's about the dangers of late-stage capitalism.
As all good things should be at some point.
As it should be, yes.
Yeah, no, definitely. that is very intriguing. So is this going to be a one-off book, or is this kind of something you're hoping to turn into a series of some kind?
I think I would like it to be possibly 2 or 3 books. I have an idea for a sequel, but it could just be on its own as well.
That's fantastic. Okay.
I have to write the first one.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Details. So, all right, going back to the art stuff, is that something that you're just kind of doing as a hobby, or are you taking commissions?
No, that's just something I'm doing as a hobby right now. I don't know what I would take commissions for with it.
well, it's kind of the thing. So you've been very active in the community, which, by the way, I love having you there. You are an amazing member. That is just you're very quick to help and support everyone, and I think that's honestly, it's what the community was originally made for. When I did it, was just to have a place for everyone to kind of, I don't know what I'm doing here. Well, I do. Let me give you a hand, and show you how you can do it, so then you can better yourself. And you were very good with that. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I think everyone comes in with different skills that might not be directly related to writing and art and acting that we talk about in the group, and I think that can be really useful. So I try to help when I can.
Never heard a bad thing. You're always fun anytime you get in there. It's so much fun to have you there. I love it.
Thank you.
But you have mentioned some of the business stuff that you do, which does have the creative aspect and all of that. Is there plans to direct something specifically for artists and writers and things like that?
There is eventually. I am definitely not there yet, but I would like to start providing some web design and development services specifically for writers, but I wouldn't say no to other creatives who are looking for some help in that area. And I've been doing web development and I started when I was 11, so it's almost 20 years now. Aging myself there, but yeah.
It's a lot of advancement in web design.
Oh, it's completely changed from back then.
Well, like when I started doing the marketing stuff, graphic design and all that, it was 16 years ago. It was like right at the start of Facebook type thing. Mm-hmm. And just even the growth from that point to now has just been trying to keep up with everything that's coming out is absolutely there's so many.
That's nearly
things.
Impossible. If it wasn't my actual job, there's no way I would do it.
Definitely.
I would keep up with everything.
And
but thinking about design, like I feel like all websites look so similar today, and I think that's one of the things that I want to push a little bit. And I think authors are a group where you can push that, because authors have different genres that they write in, they have different vibes, and you can really lean into that in a website.
Definitely.
And I think that will be really cool. I just don't want all websites to be black text on white backgrounds anymore.
Definitely. I mean, even with the creative coffee one, it's so basic and generic, but it's like, I need to get something up there right now. We can deal with it later. There's the bare bones, and then we'll build on it from there and really make it all flourishy and pretty as we go. And I'll definitely be helping or getting your help with some of that too, because I have ideas. So many ideas.
I know that's the problem, right? I have so many ideas for various things, and there's never enough time to do them all. Especially when you're a working mother or father.
Well, and that actually brings us into the not enough time over to the kids and the being able to do the writing and the creative stuff with kids. I know how difficult it was for me to even think about personal time when my kids were younger. How do you find the process of being able to find that time?
Well, I am very lucky in two regards. One, I have a stay-at-home dad husband, and so we're not juggling two work schedules. Two, I have an incredibly flexible job because, I basically work for my own company and can set my own hours. So those two things together makes it a lot easier for me than I think it does for a lot of other working parents. The last time I worked in an office, it was a 20-minute commute each way. That's 40 minutes spent in the car. I'd spend that listening to audiobooks and it was relaxing, but it's still time that you can't spend doing anything else.
Definitely.
And I'm not saying that it's not hard. It's hard, and I want to make sure I'm spending enough time with my children. I might be exhausted after doing a lot of work all day, particularly if I'm in meetings, and then I have so little energy left for anything else. And I usually want to prioritize my kids and not my novel draft. So that's where it ends up going.
Yeah, well, definitely. A lot of times I don't know what your exact work schedule is. Do you have a specific, these are the times I'm working and I don't work after these times?
Sort of. I generally work from 9 to 5:30 or 6, and some days I'll work longer or start later, and sometimes I have an appointment, and sometimes something needs to get done over the weekend. So it's really more related to when do I have meetings. Those are almost always in the afternoon because of time zones, and then how much do I have to get done by when. And that's how it all fits together. Which I think is a better way to do it than to say, oh, you have to work from 9 to 5 with an hour break, regardless of how much work you have to do. And then you end up twiddling your thumbs or trying to cram everything into that time block.
Also very true. I know it's the downside that I always found is I always think I should still be working at any time, just because I'm in the same place that I do the work. So if I'm here not doing anything, I should be doing some work. I find that to be a bit of a struggle sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's what a lot of people don't understand with self-employment is some days you end up working for the majority of an 18-hour block with some breaks in between.
Right. And sometimes work is just thinking. I'm just thinking about a problem that I have to solve. Doesn't actually look like I'm doing anything because it's all happening in my head.
Completely. And then, you throw kids into that. And there was one thing, because I way back in the day, I did construction for a while. And you would get home, you're physically exhausted, right? But your mind is just racing. So it's like finding that balance. And then when you go to being in a creative job and then also wanting to be creative, you're using the same amount of energy, and it's very hard to be able to have the energy for your stuff when you're so busy working on someone else's and to make the living.
Right. So I do a lot of my writing will be in the evening after I put my kids to bed, because then I'll have that break. I'll have had dinner. I'll have spent time with the kids. Then I can reset and focus my creative side of my brain on something completely different. Whereas if I did it right when I was done working, then I think that would be harder for me to get my head into that space.
Definitely. No, for sure. Okay. Well, we are actually coming up pretty close. You got a couple more minutes here. Is there anything you want to discuss before we start wrapping this up?
I can't think of anything else that I want to discuss. I can wrap up.
What about your dogs and cats? Let's talk about the dogs and cats.
Oh, my dogs and cats. Oh, yes, definitely. Especially my cat. I love my dog too. My dog is Mabel. She is... How old is she? 5, I think. And oh, my cat just appeared. She heard me talking about her. And now she's here. Mabel's 5. She's a lab pit various other things mix. She's brown. She's ridiculous. My cat, Sashimi, she's going to be 12 in July. She's my best friend. She's the best. She's right here.
I'm actually very shocked the cats haven't interrupted this one. Gracie just likes to come walking right along.
Come on.
Oh man.
But no, we've been together for a long time. I had her before I met my husband. She's very special. And you can see she's adorable too.
Definitely. No, that is.
I got her when I lived in New York City, which was a special time in my life. And I went to the cat shelter and she meowed at me. And I picked her up and she purred and then she kissed my little nose with her little nose. And I was like, okay, I guess I got to take you home.
There's no other choice now. It's settled. Yeah. The cat has chosen and we're going to go with it. Because that's how cats work.
That's how they work.
Well, that's fantastic. I love that. I've learned so much about you in this chat. It's been amazing. I absolutely love it. All right.
Yeah, we should do another one where I interview you.
No, we're fine there. You don't want to get Chris ranting. He just won't stop. It's bad. So okay, yeah, bringing it back now. You got me all off my game. Where can people find you?
Yes, so I'm on most social medias as Alli Rense. That's ALLIRENSE. So Instagram and Threads is where I'm most active. I have a Substack newsletter called Whispering into the Void. It's at whisperingvoid.substack.com. And people can also visit my website, which is alli.inc. That's ALLI.
Perfect. And I know I get the newsletters. I enjoy them. I love them.
Thank you.
They're fantastic. So again, thank you so much for being here. It has been absolutely, again, another interview that's went soaring right through the half an hour mark, and it's awesome. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for being a member of the community.
Well, thank you so much for running everything. It's been wonderful. It's great community.
So much fun. I love it. And we're gonna have you back on as soon as we get the short stories going, so we start promoting that stuff and getting it all.
Yes, actually need to finish something so we can have something to promote on the podcast. That's a great idea.
That's what the other podcasts are for. This is just chatting about shit,
Right.
It's way more fun to just chat when you're not trying to sell something,
True.
It's a lot easier. Awesome. All right, well, thank you very much. We'll wrap this up and I will talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Dripping Creativity Podcast. I, again, am your host, Chris Corvan. You can find me everywhere at Chris of the Void. Reminding you to subscribe, never miss an episode. If you enjoyed what you heard today, consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us grow immensely. Don't forget to go and check out the creativecoffeecafe.com website for a whole bunch of new stuff that's happening and what's going on in the world of us. It's a lot of fun. I like it. Keep the creativity flowing, and until next time, stay inspired. See ya.